that was sent to the students who signed up for this, because I think the letter is very important. A New York Times bestseller, Water for Elephants is a novel about a young veterinarian who joins a traveling circus during the Great Depression. Gruen's writing artfully depicts life for circus workers during this time and reflects in-depth research. As a result, this novel contains some mature themes, primarily alcoholism and sexuality, and language. The presence of such context is not gratuitous by any means and serves only to add to the realism of Gruen's novel. We invite you to read the novel or read the reviews from Amazon.com if you would like to familiarize yourself for more. There is a one-page letter was sent to parents. I think it was pretty explicit in explaining what this novel is. The other thing is my concern about having this discussion right now is none of us, well, I read the book a couple years ago. I haven't read it in the light of high school students reading it. I don't know if any of you have. I mean, I think that this...
No, which is why I didn't want it on the agenda.
Right, I think having this discussion now is really premature. And so
how do we put a process in place that doesn't take 2.5 months to remove something that more than a few people may find objectionable? How do we put something in place to do that? Because if our process takes 2.5 months for something, especially intercession related, it's not even a class, it's intercession, it lasts 3 days, right? How do you put a process in place that...
If I'm not mistaken, the minute, I shouldn't say the minute, as soon as a parent finds the material objectionable, we do not force the child of that parent to participate in this. So that is acted upon immediately, not 2.5 months later. You're trying to suggest that we impose that on everybody else, and that's the issue that I'm having.
I'm just suggesting that there's got to be better works out there than this particular work, because I'm having a really hard time with the educational objectives. That's it, right? So there's no real educational objectives that only this book can resolve.
Thomas, if I just might, how would you respond to those parents that approved their children reading this? That they have an opinion, they've weighed in on their opinion and said, I think this would be appropriate for my child.
So the question is not necessarily how would I respond to them, but would they have an objection reading another book other than this one, right? You're making the assumption that this book would have been chosen by them. If you had chosen a different book that didn't require parental approval, would you have had anybody object to that book? Right? You may not, but to suggest that just because they signed a parental permission that they could read it, and we changed the book out, that they would say, no, go back to this book because it has such merit, I think is a weak argument.
Thomas, if you go to Amazon, 2,200 people have reviewed this book, and it has 4.5 stars. It's not some trashy. Scott hasn't had the opportunity to participate.
It's got some pretty trashy stuff in it, Cindy.
There's 5 pages.
There's going to be a variety of opinions.
I've read it. I've read it twice.
I think it's good for us to talk about the process. I think that we ought to do that at a time when we can get it on the agenda and be thoughtful about it. I think that at this point, especially since it's no longer a live offering, that there's no need to press it forward, and we ought to sit down and think it through and say how would you like to change the process that we have in place, and explore what the alternatives might be. There are a variety of things. We live in a pluralistic society where there's going to be a variety of concerns, and I think as long as there's good disclosure for the families and students what they're getting, and as long as there are alternatives provided for those that want alternatives, then I'm not sure that we want to be imposing more restrictions on our teachers, because I think we're going to get better teachers if they are free to pursue those things.
So we'll just agree to disagree. Let's postpone it for now. We're done. I mean, I think because clearly this session has been postponed for the time being, but I would like to get it at a point where we have ample time to discuss it, because I just simply agree to disagree that we have to put stuff like this out there to give teachers freedom to explore. I mean, I think there's plenty of good books that are available that don't have 5 pages of trash that would make most people cringe. So let's post, you can say whatever you want, I'm done. We'll postpone it until.
This book yet, 'cause I haven't read it.
Yeah,
It comes
well-
tomorrow.
Well, I
got
just-
Amazon tomorrow, so
I mean,
in order till Saturday, I'm sorry.
most great literature and good literature challenges the reader. It helps you grow in and things you don't know about and explore in your world and this kind of thing. And there is he's at a carnival and he is assigned to guard the people or whatever, guard the tent at a girly show. And anybody knows that a girly show at a carnival, not that I've ever been to one in my life, is not a good place to be. And it's a short description, and I think I speed read through it, and I didn't even remember it from the whole book, because the book had a tremendous impact on how this very innocent, virginal young man goes into this incredibly tough world because his parents are killed in accidents of depression. He's penniless. He hops on a train like many people do. It gives a view of the Great Depression like I have never seen. And he runs into the roughest people in the world, the roustabouts and the animal cruelty that goes on in a traveling carnival and all these things. And it's actually told from his point of view as he's now, very, very elderly in a nursing home, looking back on his childhood. And it just is amazing how in this incredibly brutal, raw world, he finds dignity and honor. And many of the good people end up prevailing. And it's just, to me, here again, it shows the human spirit can come out of really bad things. Our kids and the treatment of him also in the nursing home and how we warehouse our elderly. There's tremendous messages about that in there that kids need to understand and deal with. How are we treating our grandparents and our great-grandparents when they're placed in nursing homes? How do we look at these people? There is tremendous value in this. The Grapes of Wrath, if you took a few pages out of, some of those books, some of the great, what we consider classics of literature, we could cringe at a page or two here or there. Yeah, I'll give it to you, there's like I say, that description and the one other description, but there is so much.
Reading it out loud, Cindy?
Of course not. And I don't think that'll be in the movie. That's what I'm saying.
It's unrated, we don't know.
But I think that, with the parental permission, and the parents can talk to their kids about it, parents can read it with them if they would like to. But it is not any voyeuristic, written just, book. I can't think of topics, Tropic of Cancer, Kepler, something, other ones I never read. But this has incredible merit for our kids, and there is educational value here, and I think that's what they were looking at, is the Great Depression and how to help our children understand what it was really like. And boy, jumping those trains, which people just putting their kids on their trains because they don't have any money to feed them, and it can open their eyes to a time of America that I hope it never comes again.
So I would suggest we put this on for some point down the road and have a deeper discussion on the how we academically choose the books that we choose. And, final point, my dad jumped trains during that period of time. He's got it in his journal, and I didn't read that in his journal. Okay, so.
Well, maybe.
No, not maybe.
No, it's,
Don, do you have any for?
No, I guess I'm not sure what we're putting on the agenda. Is it an evaluation of intercession? Is it the whole book selection?
I would like to put something on the agenda later on that defines the academic relevance in not this manner, where I can write a description and turn around and rewrite it, and that's the objectives. I think people are looking at intercession, and some of the people out there are saying, what's the academic relevance of this? And it'd be a whole heck of a lot easier if we had it aligned to at least some state standard that we can point to that says, this is why we're doing this, and it's in a different setting. Look at Cardigan. Cardigan has all sorts of very good things in a very different setting, but they're academically relevant.
What I would just say again is, I think we had this discussion